For a very long time, I used to think that acting nice was a virtue, while in reality, being kind is. Are you being nice or are you being kind? And what is the difference anyway? And why does it matter? What does it cost you to never ever understand the difference between the two? Because when we are acting nice, then we don't really connect, but rather people please or adjust or adapt. We are always watching out, always being alert, always adjusting our behavior, and at the same time we are suppressing that is true in us, our true feelings and our true authentic selves. And we might not realize it at first. It might take a very long time to see some signs of this suppression. It might be some signs in our bodies like tension, discomfort, even illnesses, exhaustion, even burnout, or just a silent but continuously present anger. And at least I didn't realize this for a long time. I was completely blind to these behaviors. And maybe that's the reason why I became someone who talks about these tiny little invisible but important differences. Hi, my name is Emese Kelemen, and this is the Sacred Journey, the journey of a woman who holds. And when I'm talking about being nice, I'm not only talking about, or not necessarily talking about when someone is genuinely polite or caring, but rather if this niceness doesn't come from within, but comes from an outside motive. And this motive is most often fear or interest. And this is very different from someone being genuinely kind from within. But let's talk about nice first. Nice is literally a nice word, and we associate so much pleasantness with it. But those of us who kind of have the tendency to look deeper in humans, in ourselves, in relationships, I think we know now that it can have this very superficial or even sinister ring to it. So that's why I like to speak about the differences between nice and kind. But first, niceness. There are two major types of being nice, two major types of people who are rather nice than kind. And the first type is genuinely sensitive and empathic. And this comes from within. But these people are also not acting from inner strength, but rather, as I said, from fear. And it's very hard to notice this kind, because from the outside it looks just a very nice behavior, like genuinely nice and caring. But this is more harmful to the person who is behaving this way than to the environment, for sure. This type of nice person doesn't behave nice because she wants to manipulate, but because of fear. fear of being rejected, fear of being hurt again, and fear of losing relationships. And this is where I would like to refer to Dr. Gábor Máté's brilliant work, where he talks about authenticity versus attachment, and that shouldn't be a conflict in a healthy environment. But many people who have this fawning response and people pleasing come from abusive or narcissistic abusive dynamics, even family dynamics, or early life traumas, and they act from this place out of defense, as a defense mechanism or coping mechanism. And they rather choose to adapt and adjust to other people's behavior and moods than to become their authentic selves. And there are some giveaways to recognize this type of niceness. These people, I am one of these people, or used to be, so I know what I'm talking about, and it really affects me, this topic. So these people have difficulties with saying no, but most likely they cannot say no at all. They are way overtuned to others, to other people's behaviors, moods. They are the ones, even as children, they were the ones always reading the room and just having, in their mind what would be the next step to be safe, to remain safe, and acting accordingly. And that's why the issue of boundaries is a hard one here. These people-pleasing, nice people don't have strong boundaries or at all. A lot of times, at least my example, that I try to set boundaries for a while in my life early on, and that behavior was never reinforced, but was punished maybe or completely ignored. And then it turns into this learned helplessness, I guess, and this fawning response, an automatic response to anybody's requests. Without thinking, we say no, or I used to. And that's a tough one, to kind of step into our own power from here and choose ourselves. And because of this, the other giveaway that these people normally reject and suppress their own needs. And also there's this continuous tension within these people that they don't show, and most of the time they don't even realize themselves. It's so suppressed and so unconscious. And behind this behavior pattern, if there's a sentence in these people's brain, which I'm telling you there is, at least in me, not sure about you, but it sounds something like this, that if I'm nice, then I can remain safe. Or more like, the only way I can be safe is to be nice, even at the cost of my own well-being. And there's the other type of people who act nice, and it can look the same from the outside, but from inside it's vastly different. And these are the people who are acting nice not out of fear, but out of expecting something from others, like out of interest. And so this is not adapting strategy, not a survival strategy in them, but a cold manipulation. And there are some giveaways here too, if we really look at these people. And when we are not scared to look beyond the surface, that they have a selective kindness. They strategically select who and when who to be nice to. And when they don't get what they want, despite their niceness, then their behavior can shift very rapidly. Like from being this, absolutely pleasant, too nice, to revenge even. And yeah, these other giveaways being way too pleasant and way too nice. That most people, even if they reason it otherwise, their first instinct interacting with these people can be that, oh, this feels fake. And it is. And the mantra behind this behavior or this sentence is I'm being nice because this way I can get more. And there's the real kindness. And this comes from within. This comes from an inner integrity and real empathy. And this kindness is not always nice. You know, sometimes nice people are not kind, and sometimes kind people are not nice. And that's just the truth. So kindness shows up as truth, as really caring about other people and speaking the truth even when it's uncomfortable. For example, in a situation when you have to tell something very uncomfortable to your best friend, and you know it's uncomfortable, it would be easier to avoid the conflict or just lie or something, but you do it anyway. And that is an act of kindness, if you don't expect anything in return. Nice people, both types actually, they expect something. They like to be acknowledged, they like to be loved, or just not hurt, or just gain something. Here, real kindness is absolutely authentic, absolute integrity, absolute truth and strength, while the other side, the niceness, is weakness, and weakness manifests as people-pleasing or manifests as taking advantage of people. But both are rooted in weakness. And this kindness is rooted in strength and self-worth. And most people has to get there again. Most of us, we have to relearn how to be kind and authentic again because of the reasons I mentioned. And there's a good example to demonstrate the difference between nice and kind. If you are a Harry Potter fan, like I am, you must remember Professor Umbridge from the government office, who was very pleasant, dressed all in pink, having cute kittens, pictures of kittens on her wall, and being an absolutely evil, cruel, cold person. And on the other hand, Professor McGonagall, who is a strict, harsh, not nice and pleasant, but absolutely kind and loving person. So I think this demonstrates the difference quite well. And people are naturally more drawn, at least wounded people, which most of us are, drawn to the niceness, because we don't want to feel discomfort. We've been hurt enough. We just want the superficial niceness a lot of times, even if it's a lie, rather than actually going through the discomfort and having the truth on the other side. So that's the other reason why it's quite hard to act kind. I mean, be kind instead of acting nice, because the fear of people can judge us, losing connections again. We might not be as pleasant in others' eyes. A lot of times you can see that people tend to vote for politicians who have nice, sugar-coated, presentations, and they can be absolute psychopathic, but they can sell, or even salesmen, that are not very honest, but they can have a wonderful speech, and that's easier to be drawn that way instead of just hearing the harsh truth. So yeah, that can be a dilemma. But yes, what are the signs of a kind person, or what are the giveaways of someone being genuinely kind? These people can and will say no, even if it's uncomfortable. And that's a big thing. And here, just a side note, that in Hungarian and in English, which is rare to have similarities between the two languages, but the word noble and in Hungarian nemes, both come from the same word, no. And once somebody explained to me that it meant that somebody with so much power, strength, integrity to be able to say no. I mean, that was the original meaning before noble people just distorted into, without integrity and just rank and material wealth people. But that's the original meaning. So if you are a noble person, not necessarily financially or title-wise, but you are somebody who can say no. You are able to say no. So that's something to think about. And that indicates spine, integrity, and strength in my eyes. And I think those are really real values, especially in today's world. And yeah, so be able to say no. Not always pleasant. And these people can be present without melting into other people's fields or wills. They are not bending, And that, again, has something to do with having boundaries, firm boundaries, and honoring those boundaries. And also, as I said, they don't expect anything in return. They are just genuinely kind. And behind this, there's the sentence or mantra in these people that I would like to connect, but not at the cost of my well-being. And that should be a healthy standard. And so what is the cost of being nice instead of being kind and authentic? Well, first of all, it's hard to see sometimes that it has a cost because we don't have to pay this price at the beginning, just with over time. And it can manifest as emotional instability. We can have this continuous tension, resentment, even exhaustion, burnout, and any physical symptoms from just being fatigued or just having the tendency to catch any cold anytime to having serious chronic diseases. And I experienced this even as a young adult when I was a resident. I literally always was ill, having some mild but very uncomfortable fatigue, just slightly higher temperature, a cough, a cold, all the time, pretty much. And because my immune system was reacting this way, I was so exhausted and so squeezed out and burned out. And when I worked as a family doctor, I saw thousands, 10,000s of people, those who didn't have just an acute problem, but with these ongoing, long-going chronic diseases, they tend to have this type of personality. It's absolutely agreeable, comfortable, pleasant, people-pleasing. And now research shows too that there's a connection, unfortunately. And Dr. Gábor Máté talks about this issue a lot and writes in his books. So I highly recommend you his work because it's brilliant and very, very important. I wish I knew this when I was younger, or I wish I was, braver to confront these issues. But now here I am. There's always hope. And and also another price we pay is the very poisonous or toxic relationships, or just superficial and shallow relationships where we really have to wear a mask all the time and we cannot be ourselves. That's very tiring. That consumes a lot of our energies. And that's a very high price to pay. And also another Gábor Máté analogy, when he talks about being in a swimming pool and having a ball, a rubber ball, and push it underwater and keep it underwater. It takes so much effort and so much energy. Eventually, sooner or later, it will just bounce back up and just, guess what, hit us in the face. So that's our wake-up call a lot of times, which was in my case too. As I said in previous episodes, that I was such a people pleaser, I was ill, and I wasn't safe when I was pregnant. I couldn't really hide anywhere with my baby, to just be in a safe, loving, nurturing environment. Yeah, and that was a high price I paid, and my child paid for that. So that's something to take seriously, because everybody has to pay that price, sometimes sooner or later. Yes, and that's a very typical thing, that when we don't say the truth for a very long time, then eventually our body will say the truth. And that's very uncomfortable. And maybe that's the reason that many of us need that to wake up. Because if it's just a slight discomfort, we mostly choose the slight discomfort instead of a harsh waking up or confrontation. And this is why we need to ask the important and tough questions from ourselves and finally stop lying to ourselves. That's the most important. And this is the key, I think, to healing and to become kind instead of just being nice. And one of these questions, most important questions, is where do I normally say yes, where I really, really want to say no? And where do I say no, where I really want to say yes, even to connection with others or just to myself? And also, where am I afraid to say my truth, to speak my truth? And one of the most important things, whose reaction am I afraid of the most? Because there's always a person, maybe more people, but there's a loudest person in our heads that keeps talking and keeps judging, and even we can even see their face in our mind's eye, grimacing and showing their being displeased and disappointed in us, so identify that people or those people in your life that you are afraid of. Because that's the truth. You are scared to be yourself because of them. So who are they? And why are you scared of them and of their reaction? This is a deep work, so don't go superficial. Just sit with it and really answer honestly to yourself. That's where healing begins. And this is just a simple but hard practice for us to be able to relearn discernment again. And distinguishing between our yeses and nos, this should happen not only in our minds, but in our bodies. So in the previous video, I actually talk about instincts, how we should, practice to feel our body's reactions again, to become more aligned with ourselves, with our instincts, with our inner, deeper knowing. And the body is a perfect tool to help us. I mean, we cannot separate us from our bodies, because here and now we are in our bodies, and it helps us to know what is true for us and what is not. So I invite you to do that practice, as I show in the previous video, to just get back into your body and reconnect with your body sensations. And you can extend this questioning practice and combine it with this body awareness practice when you go on about your day. So you don't just need to do this journaling in private when there's a quiet time. That's beautiful, do that. But also when life is happening and when you are in the midst of that chaos and hardship on the battlefield, that's where you should practice, and just be aware. Just watch yourself. Don't judge. Don't do anything. Just watch yourself and ask these where am I saying yes, where my body is clearly showing no. Maybe having this constricting feeling or a cramp in your stomach. Just watch this. Just acknowledge. You might not be able to change your behavior for a while, and that's okay. I mean, if you've been programmed for a very long time, like I was, it's only natural that you can even feel disappointment for yourself. Try not to, just acknowledge, but that's natural that, I knew I felt a no in my stomach and I still said yes, as if I was a puppet. I wasn't even thinking, what is going on? It's okay first. Just acknowledge. That's the first step for healing. And it's great. And the other thing also, Dr. Gábor Máté says it, that when you feel guilt, it's a good sign. And you should be proud of it instead of just judging yourself. Because feeling guilt means that you did something for yourself that you were not allowed to for a long time. That you said no to something that you were expected to say yes to. So that's a big change. That's a dramatic change. So be proud of that. Even when it's hard, it will be very uncomfortable. Obviously, guilt is one of the worst feelings, but that might be a gateway to authenticity and living your own true, healthy, happy life. And also ask those questions too, that where am I saying no? Where my body actually is getting relaxed when I say no. So just notice these, that a yes, that is not a true yes, it's a no in your body, and a liberating no. When it's uncomfortable to say it, but after you said it, it's like as if all the weight from your shoulders just disappeared. And you don't have to do anything with this, just notice and just keep practicing. And I invite you to do this, and maybe the the big question is not that if we believe ourselves to be nice or even kind, but if we are truly kind in our actions and in our words, even when it's maybe harsh or not pleasant. And even better question, are we willing to change? So I invite you to think about this and practice these things. And if you are someone who resonates with this work and you would like to practice some embodiment practices and reconnect with nature, with Mother Earth, with your own body more, then in May I will have a 12-week course where you can practice these things and you can learn some modalities, including some energy medicine and some shamanic initiations. So I will put the link in the comment, and I invite you to join us at the Flower Moon ceremony on the 1st of May, on this coming Friday, between 6 and 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And I really would like you to share your experience in the comment about being nice versus being kind. How was it hard for you, or is it still hard, and why? Well, I thank you for being here, and remember to be safe and take care of yourself, because when a woman is safe, I believe the whole world becomes safe. So take care and see you next time. Bye.